how hard life seems to be? Wondering if there's an easier way to reach our goals? Pause, think about it with intentional thought, and consider where we go from here. Stay tuned and hear what physiotherapist Terrell Major breaks down how removing the pain in your body could be the key to clearing your mind and fulfilling your full potential. So we could raise our quality of life and the Bahamas performance, your head connected to your elbow, connected to your foot bone, that song, how that go? All of that. This one can be just about therapy. It's about transformation and self-actualization. You don't want to miss it. Bam.
Something to think about with Dale Happy Knowles. What we think, we become. What we radiate, we attract. What we imagine, we surely can achieve. Let's change the narrative 242.
Welcome to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles. And this evening we have here this maestro on the screen, He got a very pronounced picture in the background. Portrait, not a portrait, that's a painting. Some nice ivory desks and stuff like that with mahogany desks and stuff. We're talking about quality knowledge here today, right? Not my little rinky-dinky brain stuff that we used to be talking about sometime. Welcome, Mr. Terrell Major. How are you today?
I am well, my brother, and yourself?
I'm in one piece. Glad to be alive. I could walk, talk, use the bathroom by myself, so I think I'm straight.
Excellent. The quality of living, eh?
That's right. That's what we're all about, trying to get that down the park today. So we can make sure everybody know what we need to do so we could maximize our quality of living. We get the cost of living is high and all these things, but I don't think we as a people tend to understand that a lot of our production, whether it's what we're trying to achieve, we are actually hurting ourselves by what we're doing to ourselves or not doing for ourselves. And we want to tap into that from your perspective to see if any of these things make sense. Because, people tell me I get all kind of ideas in my head and I just be talking out my head and this and stuff. And I say, oh, okay, we can see. We bring on some of the people and see what they say.
Yeah.
And so forth.
All right.
Cool.
Not a problem.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself now. So these people out there would know that I ain't just put you out the gutter and start talking to somebody and give you a script to talk about. It's somebody who really know what they're talking about. Yeah.
All right. Terrell Major. Glad to be here on the show with Mr. Knowles, Happy Knowles. My formative years, I went to the prestigious High School of St. Anne's. After graduating, worked here in the Bahamas a few years before going off to university. Had the opportunity to study in Cuba, where I got my degree in sports medicine rehabilitation. Studied there 8 years. I'm fluent in Spanish, proficient in Portuguese. I am the head therapist, proprietor of Major Changes Rehab Centre, located Sayers Hill, North Sayers Hill, North Montrose Avenue, Sayers Hill, and Major House. I've been in practice now for almost 2 decades and loving every moment of it.
Cool. Yeah. And when you take care of them plants, you see a nice plant in the background, right? So let's put this up here. So one of the things we do here at Something to Think About, we said what we think, we become, what we radiate, we attract, what we imagine, we surely can achieve. We truly believe that. But, the body is in pain. The mind is distracted. And healing focuses the way for intentional thought. And intentional thought is the fuel for high performance. Fix your body, free your mind, raise the lid. What you say about that, brother?
That's a lot. There's no lie there. With that, I think that we can dissect. We'll have to dissect, then bring it back together for a lot of people to understand. I would love to ask you a question. When you say, but if the body in pain, is
Mhm.
that physical pain or is that mental? And I ask that for a particular reason, but I want you to answer that first.
Yeah, well, I believe in body, mind, and soul.
Okay.
It has to be in equilibrium.
Okay.
And so when I say the body, even though it might be the physical body might be injured or have a pain or whatever it is, it impacts the mind and the soul.
Okay.
Because just like if something is in equilibrium, you move one thing, it's going to affect the other two.
Okay.
That's the
Understood.
perspective I have on it.
Agreed. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
In my field of physical therapy, it's more widely known that we deal with athletes. We deal
Mm-hmm.
with post-op surgeries, individuals who may have suffered a broken limb. We help them to regain function, whether that be the upper limb, which we defined as the hands, shoulders, elbows, fingers, or the
Mm-hmm.
lower extremities, knees, hips, toes. We also work along in pediatrics,
Mm-hmm.
geriatrics, urology. We pass about through all of the specialties in medicine as well when it comes to, as you stated earlier, assuring that the outcome is that the persons are able to regain that comfort of life or that sustainability of life, what we call the
Mm-hmm.
ADL sometimes, the activities of daily living. Now, when we speak about the body being in pain, what I've noticed now for almost 20 years is that although a person may have an injury, and I'm going to speak generally, whether it's upper extremity or lower
Right.
extremity,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times I have to calm their mind before we're able to proceed with anything else.
I could believe
Okay?
that. Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I may be taking care of a police officer, and he may be the bread. Let's go with during COVID time. During COVID, a lot of persons weren't working that in particular areas. So let's say I was to take care of a police officer at that
Mm-hmm.
time. What I've learned is that although his back, knee, or legs may have been in pain, he was more worried about performing his duty, going back to work,
Mm-hmm.
putting bread on the table to ensure that his family is well taken care of. And that wasn't his direct family. When I say direct family, that wasn't just who was in the house with him. They referred to their aunts or their grandmother or someone else that they also helped. Okay. And he was afraid that he would not be able to do that. So what I had to do was calm him mentally, try to calm him mentally,
Yeah.
try to calm him
Mm-hmm.
spiritually in order to get to the point whereas he's able to get back to work. So if we're going to speak holistically when we speak about the body and trying to regain balance, then I agree with you 100% because
Yeah.
everything works together that I've found.
Yeah. But I want us to speak on what you think is pertinent to what we could achieve, right? So you don't need to go too far and too far to the right or too far to the left or down. But however you want to position it, but that's just the way I look at it. And so if we just go back to the quote uh, real quick, yeah. So when I say, but if the body is in pain, the mind is distracted. So you just highlighted that for me with the police scenario, in
Mhm.
the sense that even though his body is in pain, his mind is he's not able to achieve everything that he needs to achieve because
He's distracted.
it's distracted what he needs to be doing. So he's not gonna be able to rehab properly and all that kind of stuff. And I got this pretty much from all the years of playing baseball, but particularly when I did my cancer stint in 2009 for those 11 months plus. As to the mind is a serious thing. That's a show for itself. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so let's go back here. Boom. Cool. All right. So, what inspired you to become a physiotherapist, and what keeps you going every day besides your wife? You know that.
Gangster. Well, what inspired me is that one, I was always athletic. Part of the basketball team, captain of the basketball team, was always involved in track and field. I was
Mm-hmm.
pretty good. About 80 pounds ago. You know, we were we were pretty good at that. And then understanding what physical therapy was about,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not subjected to an office, so to speak. I
Okay.
travel with the teams. I used to take care of a Bahamian swimmer whenever she came to town. I went poolside with her. I took care of her at whenever she came in, help her with her events.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Apart from traveling the teams, I visit people's in their homes. I'm all over the Bahamas. You know, sometimes we're in Eleuthera, we're in Abaco, we're all over the place. I'm not subjected, I'm not restricted to just my office.
Right.
Then I get to see the person at their worst
Mm-hmm.
and to help them get back to where they're confident again, to where
Mm-hmm.
they're themselves again, so to speak. And that is very much so rewarding. Now, I didn't understand that before physical therapy. So to answer that question directly, that
Mm-hmm.
I think knowing that I would have a job or a calling that would not limit me, so to speak. That I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what helped to inspire me, coupled with the fact that being an athlete as well.
Right. And you mentioned some key things there, right? Because one of the things we want to show people is that there are opportunities beyond the traditional doctor, lawyer, teacher, blah 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 blah, right? And so from what you're doing, there's a lot of people who don't like to be in the office or who
Yeah.
might not have the skills or the affinity or the makeup to be in an office environment. Because I mean, let's face it, like most of us are kinetic learners and kinetic doers versus the traditional academic, right? Not saying we can't do it, but
Correct. Correct.
you know, there's not the natural state. To me, it's not the natural state for most of us.
Mhm.
So far, cool. So you studied in Cuba and became fluent in Spanish and a couple other languages you said earlier. And I would say abogado. Now I don't know. Don't answer that. Uh, how did uh, how did that shape your view on healing? Being able to be in those settings.
Interesting question. How did it shape my view on healing? Um, Shout out to Long Island and Rum Key. My grandfather is from Long Island,
Mm-hmm.
was from Long Island, passed away. And my grandmother, 91, is from Rum Key. That being said, we grew up on a lot of teas. I don't want to say bush tea, but you be him, you understand. You
Yeah,
grew up
yeah,
on your
yeah.
green
You can say
grass,
bush state because we
the
support
pear
that.
leaf,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and all of those things. And we were always taught that this was for one particular thing. You shape a needle for this and whatever. High school, we went to play, and we were in Oklahoma a few for about a week or so, and I think just about everyone on the team came back with some form of cough.
Mm-hmm.
I had bronchitis. They said my grandmother had those old mayonnaise jar, this big huge mayonnaise jar, what was just in the corner, full of stuff.
And
I
you
don't
want to
know.
throw
She
that
put
away a
that on
long
a
time
silver
ago.
spoon, right? She put that in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I think I coughed since. You
Yeah.
know, so from there, going to Cuba, I found that their outlook on medicine, they also took medicine that
Trauma
theory of
care.
medicine from a
Mm-hmm.
holistic standpoint as well, from a natural aspect to
Mm-hmm.
to to the natural side of it. The way I was taught was that the body can heal itself. It just has to be in the right environment.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's sound, that's the ambience, meaning inside or outside.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way you actually just sit sometimes and just allow somebody to vent. You know, we had the opportunity to learn all of that in the 8 years
Mm-hmm.
they were studying, and it was awesome. You know, And in the process too, learning Spanish. Everything was in Spanish. I guess I started out from the wonderful St. Anne's that I attended back in the day. We had my loving teacher, she's passed now, my mother-in-law as well,
Mm-hmm.
Alma Adams. Whenever she
Mm-hmm.
came into the classroom, she never spoke English with us. She
Mm-hmm.
was honest. She was honest from day one. So with having a love for that and having the opportunity to go abroad and study something that I love wholeheartedly now, I think I'm very much so blessed. And I just took everything from my parents, my grandparents, and coupled it with what I actually studied, some evidence based, and I just implement it in the clinic right now. And
Yeah.
so far, we've been having some excellent results, if I do say so myself.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, folks, that's tip number 2. I hope you catch your notepad out, right? Taking all of these little things that we might take for granted, and it makes up you.
Yeah.
And all these things allow you to be successful in whatever it is that you're doing. And because you're going to bring something to the table different from somebody else because you have a different blend in them.
Yeah.
And that's the key. That's the key tip. That's the second free one for the day, right? So, Terrell, what's the deeper purpose behind the excuse me, the Major Changes Rehab Centre? What change are you trying to make?
I
Remember, there's something to think about now. We want you to think.
yeah,
We want these people to think.
it's interesting. Part of what we say at Major Changes Rehab Center is challenge your limits. Don't limit your challenges. And
Like that.
I've implemented that in different ways. And it starts from a thought process and try to make it into a physical process as well. Lately, I've found that more conversation with my patients, my clients, goes even further. So a patient just said to me, actually, last week, she came in there and she said, I just need 5 minutes just to say something to you. I just need 5 minutes. I just need 5 minutes. She said, what you're doing here isn't just physical therapy. You're doing mental therapy. You're being a shoulder to lean on. You're doing this, you're doing that. And I just sat and I listened. So I think the answer to that question is, what's the deeper purpose behind Major Changes? I think that purpose is to show individuals that life isn't what you think it is. When you're faced with adversity, sometimes you have to step back, take a deep breath, see things for what it is, find someone that you can speak to, open up to, and be open enough to understand their response. What I mean by that is, if you were to ask me my opinion, I won't give you my opinion. I would ask you more questions to understand why you're asking me that.
Right. Yeah.
And we're going to build off of that. I don't see me giving you my opinion because I don't know exactly what's forming in your head.
Right.
And I may misinform you or misinstruct you or tell you something and then you go and you try to figure that out that way, the way I said it. No.
Right.
Okay. So I think the deeper purpose here is to actually sit, listen, understand people, and help them in their road to their personal success, whether that's to walk straighter in rehabilitation, whether that's a better relationship with their mom, their sister, their dad, whatever that may be. And in the process, I think I also help myself because I was never a talker. This what I'm doing here, what I've been doing now for the past 5 years, this I can say, I can sit down in a room and don't say anything at all, and I'm perfectly happy.
Yeah.
So with me now having this platform, Major Changes Rehab, I think my purpose isn't just for my patients and clients, it's also for me to help understand me in a better way so that I can help them in a different way as well.
Cool. And that's awesome, and that's similar to how we came about. Not necessarily this show itself, but me and using the coin, something to think about, because I used to write on Facebook from the time I had the cancer thing back in 2009. It gave me something to do. But even the work, people used to say to you, when they approach me on come for advice and stuff, and I ask them, think about this, what about that, what about this, and all that kind of stuff, and just bounce it back to them. And they end up get more out of that than me telling them, well, maybe you want to do that or do this.
Yeah.
Because when it don't work, then they come back to you and say, well, you tell me, do this or do that. Versus them finding out what they really want to do by just having a lot of information come to them.
Yeah.
So they can make up their own mind.
Correct.
So, folks, you're watching Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knows, and we have the Honorable Terrell Major here with me today. He's going to get all the names. All the names today. If you want to drop a comment or question and so forth, just do so. Let us know how you're thinking. Anton, thank you kindly. So forth. And, we're here to serve. And hopefully, what did I do? Hopefully we will be able to reach out to what you are looking for.
Yeah.
Or it could become a value for you. So let's talk a little bit about performance and so forth, right? So let's do that and do that. Take that off. Yeah. So this is from JAMA, a 2003 report in one of the journals. I don't know if the Bahamas lines up with this or comes close to this, but basically saying 13% of the total workforce experienced loss in production in a 2-week study, right? Headaches, back pain, arthritis, musculoskeletal pain, all those things. And about 76%, 77% lost production time was explained by reduced performance while at work and not absence. And I found that to be key, while at work and not absence. In our culture, do we have similar, or what is the experience? Do you know?
When people enter the clinic, they ask a number of things, and some of the things are, when I have to go back to work, do I have to go back to work? And then they say, I don't want to go back to work.
Oh boy.
So I ask why. Regular stuff. My supervisor, they don't know what they're doing. They want me to do everything. I don't know my job description. They want me to do this, but I was hired to do that. I think the headaches, I think the frustration, I think a lot of the injuries are due to persons not being happy in their circumstance.
Okay.
What's the quote? As a man thinketh, so shall he be. If you're miserable walking into a place, it's going to show. It's going to show physically on your face. It's going to be portrayed in the way you may interact with your coworkers, maybe the persons who you may have to serve if you're a server, and then it drains you, and then you tend, and this is all speculation, and then you may end up with headaches, back pains, neck pains, and as soon as you leave work, you're good. It seems as if you're good. But soon as you enter that workplace, that work environment, people complain, oh God, this and this. Well, I hope this one ain't to wake and such and such. So going back to to what you said initially, when the body, from looking at the body from a holistic point of
Right.
view, we have to look at not only curing ourselves holistically, but how we also make ourselves sick with the
That's
way
true.
that we think, the way that we think, our thought process, the things that we don't do. Like if I have a bad day, I bring that over to my patients. My patients may never return. They might go out and say, oh, well, I don't like this and I don't like that, and whatever happens, blah, 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 blah. But if I'm able to separate, then hopefully I can impact them even better. Or shake that off one time. Let me just walk in, shake it off, and say, you know what? That was home, that was on the road, that was a driver. Let me focus on my patients. Let me get in, do what I have to do. So I hear it a lot. I hear it a lot. The percentage, I can't speak to the percentage, but I hear it a lot. So I'm not in a position to say that those percentages are incorrect or not. But
No.
very
Yeah,
common. It's
that's
very
not the expectation. No, it's just about that's
Yeah.
just what the reality for that report. But I was curious if we were having similar experiences or kind of thing, because those things. When we went through COVID, and I said to people that these lockdowns and stuff, we're gonna have major problems because of it, and people tell me I being anti this because I didn't want to do a vaccine, blah blah blah. I said I didn't want, not that I didn't want to do the vaccine. I want to make sure the vaccine was right before I did it, kind of thing,
understood.
and so forth. But the bottom line is, we experiencing all kind of stuff because of the stresses of COVID, and if you were going through Dorian, then you had the double dose that made it
Right.
even worse.
Right.
Yeah. So, how does physical pain affect mental clarity and productivity? As we touched on it a little bit with the police scenario that you mentioned,
Oh,
but
that's
I believe there's a two-way street between the mind and the body. Like you said, your mind could tell you be sick. Like I know some people every night they tell you they're tired, they're tired, they're tired. I say, yeah, you're tired, but you tell yourself you're tired.
yeah.
Go ahead.
How does physical pain affect mental clarity? I think it does. To me, one of the worst pains is a headache. I could buck my toe, slam my finger in the door. I could shake that
Right.
off with some ice. My wife will try to bandage it up and put some Bengay or something. But a headache, oh, I can't stand headache. I can't stand it. So honestly, I'm miserable with a headache. Don't bother me. So I think it affects mental clarity. I think it also affects productivity. I don't want to do anything. I mean, let's shucks. It affects you seriously. But even mental, something that you're going through mentally, psychologically, that affects your production, your productivity as well. Your girlfriend just left you, your boyfriend can't come change your tire, you stress out and stuff like that. You thinking about everything. So I think we have to learn how to control certain pains in our society. We don't handle pain well. And I think we don't handle pain well for a number of reasons. We don't know who to trust to open up to. We don't know how to express ourselves. A lot of times we get angry because we're in pain, we're in emotional pain, we're in physical pain. We and all of that affects productivity. You walk into a store and ask someone who works there, young man or young girl, may you help me? They snap at you. They might be in pain.
Yeah.
So it affects how we interact with one another as well. I think that's a very good question, and if we really dive in, it affects us seriously in this society. That the physical pain ain't easy, and I'm sticking with my headaches. That ain't easy.
And one of the things I say with pain is that pain of driving or getting to work. By the time you get to work, you've gone through so much pain that a lot of people don't have the discipline to fight through that, to give their best. That could be thing in them. So can you share a real life story where physical therapy transforms somebody's life beyond just recovery? Somebody
Wow.
send me that question.
Wow. Can you share a real life story where PT
Yeah, if you
transformed
have one. If you
someone's
don't have
life
one, then we go on.
beyond just recovery? Well, wow, it's a lot. I mean, when I graduated from Cuba, I did a board exam in a specialty of pediatrics. My professor at the time knew that I was sensitive when it came to kids. Okay,
Okay.
I'm going to answer the question, just telling you a little bit of
Go
background.
ahead.
So, what I mean sensitive to kids is that I can't take too much kids crying. Like,
Mhm.
like I have to try to fix it. It's like too much. Like stop, you know.
Mhm.
So my case study was a mentally challenged young boy. He was about 2, right?
Mhm.
And he was crying. He's doing everything what he's clinically supposed to do, you know. And when it came down to the crying, I couldn't do it, right?
Mhm.
Needless to say, I came through, passed it, whatever have you. I had a patient. She had a child. The child had a plethora of complications. We did what we could do from my specialty.
Right.
The child did not make it past 2 months. What we do sometimes is that we sit down, we go back to the house, give condolences, whatever have you. But she said something. She said that your company was the only one that came to try and do what they could do within their purview.
Right.
I said, thank you. She said, no, you don't understand what that means to me.
Mhm.
No one wanted to come. When I spoke to them over that, no one wanted to even see my child.
Mhm.
And I think that transformed me. I think that someone in this question is me.
Mhm. All right.
Um,
Mhm.
it wow.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
So for folks who feel sluggish and stiff, right? I think that's a lot of people who eat plenty of sugar, but that's a different story. Um, but aren't injured. How can physical therapy help them level up?
Sluggish and stiff. That could be a number of different things. The pathology of that that could be a number of things. But
Yeah, that's why I say I figured the
yeah, to be
inflammation is.
specific to
I think they
PT,
might be talking about that. That's what they might be talking about.
when I first started out in PT, I would always suggest that people exercise, and then they would ask what exercise to do. I said, look, anything that you want to do.
Hmm.
If walking is your thing, walk. Um, if lifting light weights is your thing, then do that. If you like the beach, go walk the beach. Whatever physical activity you're able and capable of doing, I would say do
Right.
that. One thing I've found with everyone straight across the board, as well as my athletes, no one
Hmm.
stretches anymore.
Right.
No one stretches. If you're sitting down, if you're watching this, sit down on the floor, spread your legs in a stretching position and stretch. Okay? Try to reach the ground in the front of you, try to reach your toes. We don't
But
stretch. Stretching is
but you know,
very important.
there was a period when there was this conflict because when I was coming to playing ball, it was okay. You got to stretch and then you got to go work out. And then there
Mhm,
was in the middle of all of that when they said no, you need to go warm up
mhm,
and then you need to stretch and then you
mhm.
need to work out. And so
See,
I think a lot of people are confused as to what needs to
yes, and
happen.
and trust me, sometimes I get confused as well because it seems as if every hour there's a new study coming up.
Right.
Okay, so I only can speak to what works for me. As you said,
Yeah.
back in the day, running track, playing basketball, they would say you warm up and then stretch. Right now, yes, that you can still follow that, but in the same time, you have to understand that, well, you can understand that there are two types of stretching. There's a static stretch and a dynamic stretch.
Right.
Dynamic stretches are, so for example, we're going to play basketball, we're going to be moving about, we're going to play football, soccer, tennis, all of those things where you have sudden movements and twists. I would
Mm-hmm.
recommend you do your dynamic stretching,
Mm-hmm.
and that entails you stretching, boom, boom, boom,
Right.
boom, and you do those things. Your static is what I just said. You sit down, because a lot of us aren't that athletically inclined anymore. You sit
Right.
down, you take your time, raise your hand over it, take your time and stretch. Those types of things. I think it was said you warm up before you get into anything, because it was a thing. Whereas, oh, you're gonna tear something, you're gonna do
Right.
this. I
That
get
was
that
the thought.
theory.
Yeah.
I get that theory. But I also would like individuals to understand that stretching increases blood flow as well. Okay.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
so when we stretch, we also elongate the muscles, but we allow more oxygen to get into the muscles as well, and also increase blood flow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the oxygenated blood as well. So we have a number of theories on that, but listen, to alleviate the sluggishness, the stiffness, to answer the question directly,
Mm-hmm.
stretch. Let's get that blood flowing. Let's move a bit more. Let's drink more water. We
Mm-hmm.
are very dehydrated here. And I say this to my clients, my patients: drink water, please. Drink water. If you don't like water, and I hear that a lot, drink some coconut water off the tree, not the can.
You know, if you don't like
Okay?
water, just drink water. All right. Make a decision to drink it because you need to drink it. We baby people too much. That's why
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
need. Your
Come
body
on.
got all this water need. Why deprive yourself of the need?
Yeah,
Because you want to do something different. Just drink it.
yeah.
It ain't gonna hurt you. And it only take a couple seconds to drink it.
Drink your water,
All right.
please.
Good. All right. So Prairie Apri says that many people injure themselves working out or may injure themselves at work or delay care or feel they can self-heal. That's true. Yeah. We all believe we can self-heal. The
Yeah, man.
body will heal itself if you let it heal in the right environment.
Right.
But what's wrong with that is the question. Yes, she's asking whether there's a and then
What's wrong with that is, I think it's in the question. They they injure themselves and then they delay their care. Right? Then we think that
Mhm,
we know everything, or we go to Google or WhatsApp or whatever have you, or YouTube.
mhm,
Um, what's wrong with that is now you're prolonging your injury. Injuries are acute or chronic. Acute
okay.
means that you're gonna be able to alleviate certain aspects of that injury in a shorter period of time for the best
Mhm,
outcome. When now
mhm,
an injury now becomes chronic, now you're dealing with more complications. And I think, if I'm speaking honestly, that goes in every specialty. Okay, so from a physical therapist aspect, if a
mhm.
person, let's say, just is post-op surgery,
Right.
right, with their knee, so depending on the surgery, we're going to have to get them back up and running almost right out of surgery. Let's say a hip replacement or something like that.
Mhm,
Okay, we got to get those muscles going. We have to get that blood circulating. Okay, move from that sluggishness. Okay, if the directions come and says, oh, this patient has to be bed rest for a month or two,
right.
now from a physical therapist standpoint or physical therapy standpoint, that's more complicated now, because now you have more rigidness, you have scar tissuing around the surgery site. You
Right. Right.
have less flow of blood, which means less healing. All right. Now you
Mm,
have, again, with the rigidness, you don't have that flexibility or that range of motion now that he or she would have been able to have if we took care of that in the acute stage of it. So now what happens is if that hip surgery from the rehabilitative side would have been able to be done with that first day or that first week out of surgery, that person within 3 to 4 weeks may have been able to climb stairs comfortably, maybe with an assisted device, a cane or a walker.
Right.
Now, if you wait 3 to 4 weeks to try and get that person up and moving, now we got to crack some hips and move around, send the person back into surgery because of that. And what that does is you prolong your recovery and it prolongs your stay out of work and doing anything else. So it's basically the same thing when you try to self-heal. You prolong your stay from doing your, as I said earlier, regaining your activities of daily living. So it's always good to have a friend who's doing something in the medical field, all right, who'll be able to direct you and guide you to where you have to be or what you should do.
Right. I always say just don't self-heal above your level of competence, right? So as a former elite athlete, there's certain things I know I could do. But then when you get beyond that, then I need to go find a professional. That's what they're there for. They know, they learn, they study, they keep up to date, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So this one says, how important is mobility when compared to strength training and injury prevention?
Oh, mobility is key. Mobility is key. Most definitely. I prefer mobility over strength, but to me, once you are moving correctly, you're able to build strength. So one of the things with me in rehabilitation is that when I ask a patient of mine, a client of mine to move, I want them to move correctly. Okay. So for example, let's say they have a shoulder injury. Okay. I ask them to raise the shoulder. What I've noticed is that, I don't know if you can see me well on camera, what they would do if I ask them to move the shoulder to just do a lateral raise, so to speak, they'll raise the shoulder, contracting the muscle, and then do that. No, I just want you to raise the shoulder itself. So if you do this to raise, you shorten the range of motion that I want you to actually to reach. So therefore, I prefer mobility. Once we have mobility, then we can also work on strength. Because now when working on strength after mobility, then I'm able to recuperate the entire muscle. But if there's limited range of motion, there's nothing much that I can do. So mobility to me is key. We work on that and then we strengthen. And that's the scale in which I tend to rehabilitate. You decrease pain. When you decrease pain, you're able to increase mobility, and then we can regain strength.
Cool. All right. So, boy, already all of that time flying, and I only halfway finished. So, do you think that there's
talking too long then?
Huh?
I'm talking too long.
No, man, this good stuff, man. These people listening.
All right.
I could feel it. So, do you think there's a connection between physical wellness and national productivity?
National productivity.
Are we getting the most out of what we should be getting based on physical to do?
No. To answer the question, do you think there's a connection between physical wellness and national productivity? Yes. There's a note to what you were saying just now. Are we getting all? No, we're not getting all. Right. But yes, there is a connection between physical wellness. Again, similar to the question earlier, when a person feels well or is doing well, doesn't have headaches, is happy to go to work, that person will produce. That person is in an environment to produce.
Right.
When a child comes home with a bad grade, what's the first thing they say? They never said that I didn't study.
Right.
They never said that I didn't know. They said the teacher didn't like me.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they say that? The environment, whatever happens in that environment, it makes them throw out at the teacher. So yes, I think it's a direct correlation. Physically, you have to be physically well, and when we use physically well, we also meaning mentally or psychologically well as well.
Right.
Okay, all
Good.
right.
Cool. How does your work connect to the people and the digital pillars of the new built environment? So we didn't talk much about that, and I don't think we can have time to go through it in a great way. But why am I? But basically, these are the pillars here: sun, sound, sea, people, digital, and it just talks about building this $100 billion economy based on renewables. Sound would be light industries, bush medicines, etc. Sea would be shark safari, the mangrove flats, so forth, right? So they're basically the foundation for those things. So if we look at that from the question of people and digital pillars, how do we connect? Because what we're looking to do is to say, okay, if we could optimize ourselves, like let's say LeBron James optimizes himself to play basketball, right? And then Steph Curry is optimized his skills, and he has this endurance. They are at the peak of their potentials, and then they produce at a very high level. But if you have some other people who might have more talent than them but don't do to their potential, then their output mightn't be as high either. So we're just wondering if there's a connection between the two, or it's just
If I understand the question, if I understand the question, I understand Steph Curry, but please, you're talking to me.
don't
say
forget LeBron, man. Forget
LeBron.
LeBron. Yeah, because you we just
I
talk
understand
we
Steph Curry.
talking
You
about
know, we
mental
get a
things
plate, all right?
blocking and distracting people,
All
and
right?
once I say LeBron, now you get confused.
Yeah,
So
you know, you gotta get a little defensive there, you know.
yeah, let's go to
But
step because we're running out of time. So
Steph Buddy
but
Hield.
basically, basically what we're saying then is, does these things allow us to be is there a connection that allow us to maximize our output from
I think
how
our
well we
environment,
are in
our,
terms of
again, if I understand the question, if our environment here in the Bahamas, Nassau, Bahamas, Exuma, Rumkey, Long Island, Abaco, if our environment allows us $1 billion or gives us access to $1 billion when it comes down to training and all of those things, most definitely. Again, if I'm understanding the question, I'm of the impression that every athlete should not just come here to the Bahamas to play in the basketball tournament at Atlantis.
right.
I think that there should be some formalized training here with the teams. Okay, I've had the pleasure. A friend of mine's got married a few years ago. The owner of the Phoenix Suns were here. I had the pleasure of meeting and taking care of a family member of Michael Sweetbell Thompson. We have everything here. I think now we should invest in us.
Well, that's the question.
Speak to the persons, us, who are here on the ground doing the work. That's everyone in the medical field, everyone in the construction field, everyone in the technological field that knows or feels from our age bracket what we can do and how we can make it $1 billion industry, because you have the talent here. Why a Buddy Hield and Clay Thompson, if they have to be rehabilitated, cannot run the sand?
Right.
That's one of the best ways to build leg strength. Okay, ability to strengthen the smaller muscles in the ankle tendon on the unable. Look, we need more time for this, because certain days, my clients, especially if they have lower extremities, they have hip, knee, ankle injuries, we're not in clinic every day. I take them out of clinic. We take them out of those four walls. And I've gotten better results of that because of that. We do our water therapy. We don't do water therapy in the pool. We go into salt water. That's a part of our nature. That's a part of our makeup. Okay, thalassotherapy, that has particular nutrients in it that combines with our body, the sodium content of that. We can absorb those things. Our body is lacking in a lot of different things, especially minerals. And those are the things that helps in rehabilitation. What I've found what helps in rehabilitation. Okay, people may differ with me. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Doesn't
No,
matter.
that's fine.
But
That's what makes the
this
one
is
thing.
what I found. So we can make the Bahamas. I don't want to say great, but we can make the Bahamas that sporting ground. We have the talent here. We have the intellectuals. We have those persons who went off to school, who are speaking all types of language. We have Bahamians that can do it. We don't need any outsiders to do it for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so Dapper said here, are there any emerging trends or advancements in physiotherapy that excites you?
Dude, yes. There are a number of advancements, especially when it comes to the robotics standpoint.
Okay.
Especially dealing with persons who unfortunately have moniones, amputations. To give them a better quality of life again. Hand robotics as well. Help them feel functional again. Even a stem of physical therapy when it comes to the increase of blood flow or proper blood flow. I've seen different types of machinery being used as well. We're also looking at. So yes, there are emerging trends, and I feel that if there are any physios watching this or anyone in the medical field, let's do it. They say here, this is our country. We can take care of ourselves, and let's continue to give us Bahamians the best care possible.
Awesome. So what are excuse me, what are the biggest myths people believe about PT?
The biggest myths? Oh, they think we give massages.
Oh,
They think we give massages. Oh yeah.
no boy,
Man,
they're too expensive for massage.
Man, I had someone who said I'm nothing more than just a glorified massage therapist. Sugar.
Wow.
They don't even know me, But I think people think that physical therapists actually give out massages. But massage is something that we do when needed for a particular limb. I'm sure that many of us may have passed through a course or two, but that isn't what we do exactly.
No. From what I saw when my son had his knee surgery in Orlando, and what I saw the videos do over there, I was like, man, ain't no massage in here. This almost like mad scientist stuff what they was doing to some of them people in that space.
Yeah.
Right? So what's one of the things someone with an hereditary lifestyle can do to start moving again better? Just get up and move.
Just get up and move.
Seriously though. No. I mean, if like you said, some people just take too long before they take action, right? So it's okay for me to say that for somebody young and move, but let's say an older person who might have a challenge. They might have confidence issues, and if they move, they're afraid they can fall, so they don't move. Is there some small things they could do to get them to build up their confidence before they go into something bigger? Let's frame the question that way.
Okay, and even with this chair as a symbol, someone who has a very low activity lifestyle, I would say you can start by just raising up your legs alternately while sitting down at your chair. 1, 2, 3, to get that heart rate up. Okay. When you start there, you start to feel a bit better. Your blood starts to pump a lot more. It goes through a lot more as well. Sorry. And just start with the arms. It may look silly in the mirror, but move. Move.
Yeah.
We look silly at John Canoe too sometimes.
Oh, jeez.
We shaking. So all you have to
Oh,
do is start to vibrate, start to move, and guess
right.
what? You're gonna start to feel better. But when you start moving, understand that there's a difference between physical activity and physical exercise. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
When you get up and start moving, that's gonna be your physical exercise. You get up, you all up. Unless, let me continue with the example. In the first week or two, you might lose 5 pounds. Okay? You continue walking that half a mile, that 2 miles, or whatever have you, and you're still eating well, but you've noticed 2 weeks later, 5 weeks later, that you haven't lost any more weight.
Right.
Now that physical exercise has just become an activity that you
Right.
do. Okay. So you're not going to lose anymore. You're not going to burn those calories. You're not going to increase your metabolism. So what that means is that every week, every 2 weeks, you have to increase what you do. So if you're sitting down at your chair and you want to start by 100. You can ask anybody, any one of my clients, my patients. There's a sign up inside the clinic where we do our rehab. Listen, the magic number is 100. Whatever I
Mm-hmm.
ask you to do, you better give me 100 of it,
Mm-hmm. Boy.
and we build from there.
Yeah. Okay. Ask me for a penny. Okay. Cool. I think we took care of the question. Okay. So, if we're serious about raising the lid, what role does PT have to play in that journey?
Oh,
I mentioned to you
excellent question.
earlier.
What role does PT have to play? I think we all have to play, but since it's specific to PT, we have to take ego out of a lot of things. Okay? We have to
Mm-hmm.
understand that yes, everyone is different. Everyone studied differently, or everyone understands a concept differently, and we implement when and how seen needed to treat a particular patient. Move the ego from whatever it may be, and
Mm-hmm.
understand that everyone's here to help. And once we can find someone that we're able to confide in or ask questions to, as a mentor, or just as a friend or a colleague or contemporary, we can increase, we can raise that lid. Because I'm not going to sit here and say that I know everything. I don't know how to treat all
Mm-hmm.
rotator cuffs, right? A rotator cuff is just a word for an injury. However,
Right.
now we have to understand that person may be diabetic, that person may be overweight, that person may be an athlete, that person may be a weekend warrior. Yes, there's something that was taught specifically to treat a rotator cuff, but
Mm-hmm.
I've had patients, I've done everything. Jesus. And the patient can't raise the shoulder. So I called in someone who was in the field longer than me. Listen, I'm presented with this case. Blah, blah,
Right.
blah, 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 blah. I've done this. Where I'm going wrong. What? Ultrasound, infrared, massage, everything. We've rested, we've iced, we've heated, what? They said, ask them more questions. Maybe your
That's what I was
sleeping bag.
thinking.
Yeah, maybe he sleeps on his shoulder. I'd be like, dude, do you sleep on your shoulder? Yeah, man, that's the only way I could sleep. Jesus Christ, then how you gonna get better way? I tried to stop you from doing so. So sometimes it doesn't have to be so dramatic.
Right.
We to raise the lid, remove the ego, ask a question to someone.
Mm-hmm.
Answer same. I always say this. Life is very simple. We complicate things.
Yep.
Ask a
Yep.
simple question. Remove the ego.
But
Raise the lid.
a lot of what you're saying coming back down to the power of the mind, right? So serious stuff. Are people who move are more likely to think clearly, feel energized, and live longer compared to those who don't?
Yeah. Yeah. There are a lot of things that also help with clarity, with giving, having more energy, and it's a toss up too to say live longer. But with everything, there's also a diet that we should also follow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and a healthy diet. I'm not going to say what is a healthy diet,
Right.
but I would say let's stay away from a lot of carbs, and that may be hard to do in our society. We eat macaroni, potato salad, peas and rice,
It's a
pork chop, and
decision,
everything
man. It's a
for breakfast.
decision.
You know,
I
we eat
don't
it for
I don't
breakfast.
support that it's hard. Right? There's nothing hard in
Yeah,
life.
you know, but yes, I would say even myself, I find that once I'm running or running, um, I tend to think more. My mind is always going. You know, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that someone who has more of a sedentary lifestyle, I might be wrong,
Mm-hmm.
may not be thinking as clearly a lot of times. Sometimes we have to move to get that brain fog out for more clarity. You know, again, like I said, walk on the beach, have a beautiful country, fresh air, and just think. I feel energized. Feeling energized is also a state of mind as well, eh? Not
Mm-hmm.
everything is only physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think it was last week, week before last. We had a nutritionist on clinical nutrition, Vet Strong. So you can find the show if you want to watch that. And she talked about a lot of things in terms of from the food intake point of view, so forth. So one of the things she mentioned is sugar, salt, are two of the
Yeah.
major things that is hindering our productivity and our lifestyle here in the
Yeah.
Bahamas. And that's
A
just a
lot of
decision,
processed
people.
stuff.
It's just
Yeah.
a decision that you will not make up the mind that you're not going to do. You make up your mind every morning that you're going to work and you don't want to go to work. So to me, you could do the same thing for things that is good for you. So how do you help people to energize and think clearly?
I laugh. I laugh a lot. People say my laugh is infectious. I don't know.
Maybe,
I don't know. It all depends. It all depends on how you present. Okay.
mm-hmm,
A lot of people present themselves initially at the clinic. They're sad, they're down, they're torn, they're beaten down. Others are more open to expressing their illness and different things like that. It varies. It varies on how I interact with persons every day. So I have a room in at the clinic that I call it the dark room. Again, when there's a not a difficult patient, but a patient that I understand may need a bit more help. Sometimes that person is just restless. That we
mm-hmm,
found that that person is unable to rest. Okay. A part of the question is when we're evaluating patients, clients, are you sleeping at home? I said, yeah, man, I can sleep, but I get up at 4 or 3 because of the pain or whatever. So the next question is, are you resting?
mm-hmm,
To me, the way I was taught, it's different.
right.
Okay. Everybody can close their eye and snore, but does your body actually rest? And I use that example when we're driving. When we're driving, we're here, but we're tense a lot of times, and we don't realize how tense we really are. So I asked my patients, I said, next time you stop at a red light, before you do anything, look at yourself in the mirror and drop your shoulders.
Mm-hmm,
Rest the body. We have a lot of tension. We carry a lot of tension a lot of times, unnecessarily or unknowingly. So what I've noticed is that to re-energize or to help people think clearly is that I put them in the dark room. I set it up the way it needs to be set up. And less than 10 seconds, snoring, dribbling. They doing everything. I'm shaking them and telling them wake up because an hour and a half has passed, and
mm-hmm,
they trying to get up and they doing all that, and it's like, wow, I never thought I would have sleep like this. But I found out to be energized and to help them with energize is quality of sleep. To be
mm-hmm.
in an environment where you feel safe, you're comfortable, whatever it may be. And once you have that rest, I think that you're able to think or think clearly.
So think, man, you gotta think. It's the Bahamas. Cool. Yeah, so Dash of Heaven says some great information. Thank you kindly for listening in. Hope this is of value to you. And Anita Russell said very good information, Terrell. Awesome. So Where am I now? I asked you plenty questions.
Yeah.
And I think that's my spot. But anyway, I asked you plenty questions. So is there anything that we didn't cover or we just scanned over that you wanted to elaborate on, that you, or something that you just want to say to the audience out there?
Someone asked the question, how can we raise the lid from a PT standpoint? I'd like to take the opportunity to say, not only from a PT standpoint, but from the Bahamian specialists here in the Bahamas, the construction workers, the doctors, the nurses, everyone. Let's raise the lid, because we're talented. We're blessed to be born here in the Bahamas. We didn't catch a plane or a boat. We didn't apply. We're Bahamian. And we're specialists here in the Bahamas. You know, there has to be a way that we can work together or form groups to make every aspect of our livelihoods better. We have to raise the lid. We have to understand that we're not just blessed geographically. We're blessed because we can go anywhere in the world with our little blue passport, right? Anywhere in the world, to go and learn something and come back and introduce it to us. That's how we can raise the lid, by working together.
That's powerful, man. We got to use that one. We got to pull that clip out. Put that together. Well, Terrell, I said I'll keep you for an hour. I did. But the clock somehow got some digits on it that don't look right. But that's fine. Yeah, so it's just a couple minutes over. So we really appreciate you sharing all this knowledge that you got, that you pull up from out of the space in Cuba, bring it down from Grammy stuff, add it together with the other stuff that you got, and mix it with your blend, and keep smiling, keep laughing, because those things make a big difference.
Yeah.
Right? And we look forward for you to come back at some point later, where we could drill into maybe one specific thing that you would want or think we need to talk about more closely.
All right.
So thank you kindly.
Muchísimas gracias, señor.
Yeah,
Es un placer.
Bien. So folks, you know, he also try to throw them things on me, right? You know, I know all them words. I only know 2 or 3 kind of here and there. So, but we really appreciate you taking the time to sit with us the whole time and listen and watch and learn. And hopefully this has been of value to you, and that you will find this today will help you maximize your productivity, or find ways that you can go ahead to maximize your productivity and create the goals that you want, so you could be better able to achieve those things. And that's our goal for the day, to help raise the lid for Bahamians and all those who subscribe to the 242. And we could go from strength to strength from there. So until next time, same bad channel, same bad place. Y'all enjoy. Have fun.
Enjoyed the show? Then subscribe to us for more educational and inspirational content. Ring the bell so you never miss a show. Let's change the narrative, 242.